Nata Edwards joins us from the Ion College Basketball Podcast. He'll give us his takes on the NBA draft. Cooper Flagg finally, officially in the NBA draft. What's the plan without Cooper, though? We'll ask Nata. Plus, we'll get to another mock draft today and make some NFL draft comparisons on Locked On Hornets.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your podcast. That does include YouTube. He's back, folks. Nata Edwards. He's got time off. There's no more college basketball to talk about, but there are college basketball players to talk about as they transition to the next level. Nata helps us do that. Ion College Basketball Pod. Also go follow Nata on Twitter at Nata the Scribe. There's Doug Branson, as always, writing for everyhornetsboxscore.com. And as always, talking about the NBA on his other pod with Matt Moore and Hayes, Locked On NBA. Make sure you make that your second listen, by the way. I'm Walker Mail. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time? You know, I got my haircut yesterday. Shout out to Jimmy, who I saw at Sheer Excellence. And Jimmy said, Walker Mail? I was like, yeah, Game Time? It's their favorite. It is Game Time. People love Game Time. We need a little extra special relationship with them, man, because people love the Game Time on this show. Anyways, thank you to Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Okay, Nata, need your help on this.
Okay.
Cooper Flagg, he's officially in.
Yes.
He's in the draft, baby. There's none of this. I don't know. I don't want to play for Washington. I don't want to play for Charlotte. I'll just go back with Concanipple, Malawach. No, none of that's happening. No. He's officially in. We already knew that. What's the plan without Cooper? I don't want to speak it into existence. Okay, I don't want that negative energy. But let's just say we don't see the Hornets logo revealed as the last logo revealed. And instead, they get the second through, let's just call it second through fifth pick. Is it Dylan Harper or nobody for you? What's the plan without Cooper Flagg if we don't get the first pick, Nata?
Okay, so you're going to have me break this down pick by pick right now.
Well, no, not really. Just overall, if we don't get Cooper, what's your hope? What do you feel okay about? And I know you're a team trade back guy in some scenarios. Just talk to me about your overall feelings on, oh boy, okay, no Cooper, that sucks, but things can still be salvageable with plan X. What is X to you?
Dylan Harper. And that's it. It's Dylan Harper, and then it's a combination of, hey, Trey Johnson, if he believes in the culture, can win. It's if you get VJ Edgecombe, he might be Stephon Castle part 2. Those are the guys you think about with the plan B. I think Dylan Harper is a star in the making. He fits a lot better with LaMelo Ball the more I look at the tape. He's very, very coachable. He does play defense. He does move the ball. That's something that the Charlotte Hornets should look for this year, is that they need guys that do more than just get their own shot and look for their own shot. They need secondary facilitators a lot, because quite literally the ball would stick a lot, and then it would be LaMelo, go do something. Brandon, go do something. Trey, go do something. They're going to need a guy that's going to be able to get their own shot and also facilitate for others. And therefore, I think Dylan Harper is plan B if plan A doesn't necessarily work.
What do you think?
Yeah, and I don't know that there's any plan necessarily that would allow them to move up to 2. If they fall to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I just don't see the Hornets putting together a package necessary to go to 2. And certainly I don't think any of these teams, if they land at 1, are going to give up that first round pick for anything short of Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I don't even think that that's really even a reality for most rebuilding teams. I mean, I think they're going to go for the young guy who has, the most balanced, well-rounded game that we've seen from a prospect in a long time. So, yeah, I think if the Hornets land at 2, it's let's see what we have left in LaMelo. Can he coexist with Dylan Harper? Can we start to build that? And then if they fall beyond that, I think the plan is my plan would be explore what options there are to trade back. And if not, take one of these role players. And then I think how the team is going to view it is going to be take one of these role players and then do sort of a mix of evaluating players that maybe you were 75-25 on and anyone you're 50-50 on after last year, even though, injuries kind of hampered your ability to make those evaluations. I think they're going to make some decisions on who stays, who goes anyway. But they might not be as aggressive on that as if they were to land Cooper Flagg. That's going to accelerate things, I think. And then Dylan Harper, I don't think he really even accelerates things. I think then you're just putting the focus on developing him.
Hold on. I can't disagree. I think Dylan Harper accelerates things. I think Dylan Harper allows them to still make a lot of decisions to reshape the roster, because I do believe that Cade Cunningham, and we see what Cade Cunningham can be. I think Cade Cunningham is a very, very like 2.0 is a very likely outcome for a guy like Dylan Harper. Plus, he's got the second generation bloodline to where he knows what this game is going to be. He knows how to work. He knows how to be coachable. So I wouldn't say it doesn't accelerate the timeline. I do think that Dylan Harper, he may not be Cooper, but he's kind of close. He's kind of close to where I feel very, very good about what he can be going forward.
Well, the question will be, does it accelerate a LaMelo Ball trade?
I don't think it does, because I think they can play well together. I think you can have a backcourt or a three-wing situation where it's Dylan, Brandon, and LaMelo. And I think you can.
Oh my God! I'm just telling you right now. I'm experiencing flashbacks to the great Scoot Brandon war.
No,
2022. Oh my God. Or 2023. It's happening.
No.
Do we want the guard that can play with LaMelo? If you draft this guard, do you have to trade LaMelo? Should we go after the wing instead because he fits better with LaMelo?
Wing?
How do we avoid the Scoot Brandon debate?
There isn't a debate this year.
Okay, no war
there isn't
here.
a debate, and
okay.
there's someone that's going to say in the comments and just banging the keyboard on the comments talking about what about Ace. And I know we're going to talk about it, but
go ahead. Talk about it now. What about Ace?
It's an A and B discussion, and Ace should see himself out of it right now.
Ace should see himself out of it. Is that what you're saying?
Ace, this is a Dylan Harper conversation right now. Dylan Harper is the more complete NBA prospect and does not require, how would I put this, the restructuring of his full game to actually work in the NBA, as where Ace Bailey is probably going to need that.
So with Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, it clearly being Dylan Harper, we agree with what we're leaning on. I feel like I'll just speak for you, Doug. I'll just go ahead and do it. It feels like we're team Dylan Harper around here as well. But with Ace, how far are we going down, Nata? And why are you so down on Ace Bailey as it pertains to his fit with Charlotte?
Yeah, are you taking him at 5?
I'm taking him at 5, and that's the earliest I'm taking him. I'm taking Trey Johnson over him. I am probably taking VJ Edgecombe over him. And depending on how this goes in terms of what they want, I wouldn't be surprised if they took Knipple over him.
Knipple is up to 5 in the NBA, the Ringers NBA draft big board, up to 5.
Knipple is there. Everyone's going to throw the Corey Kispert stuff out there, and that's not accurate. He's closer to a Kevin Martin. I think he's actually got some handle. And he's a guy that initiated. He's a guy that played for everyone else. He's not this just shooter only. We're going to have to eliminate the racial stereotypes when it comes to Knipple on this one. And I dare anyone to look at the tape and tell me that's just strictly a shooter right now.
The ACC tournament really helped him, man.
Yes.
Once people got to see him handle the basketball without Cooper Flagg on the floor, and he was the best player and wins ACC tournament MVP and earned it. He was awesome in that tournament. So Knipple really helped his case there. Let's talk about this a little bit more on the other side. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere.
I'm still shivering. I don't want to go through it. Don't make me go through Scoot Brandon again.
Oh, no.
Don't make me go through it again.
It's not the same.
We'll have some conversations on the top 5, maybe some of the other guys that declared for the draft. How about Drake Powell out of North Carolina? Did the locals want him in the purple and teal? We'll get to all of that coming up next. LOH. But first, we tell you that this episode is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV. Did you know your Fire TV is always an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles with EA Sports, College Football 25, to Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, and Avowed, all those games, as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. They give you endless entertainment with 4K streaming. Watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and even more than that. What you can do is you can head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K second generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max first and second generation, and Fire TV Cube third generation. Thanks again to Amazon Fire TV. More Locked On Hornets ahead. All right, so any other draft takes that you want to go back over here? Because you're out on Ace. You would take him at the earliest at 5. You're all in on Dylan Harper. You like Con Knipple and Trey Johnson. I know last week you kind of flirted with the idea of trading back. If you don't get Cooper, you don't get Dylan Harper. Are you team trade back if you're third or below? Or what's your trade back take this week?
I am team trade back if they're 4 or 5. I think 3, you're still going to get, I just go get Trey Johnson a roll. I think Trey Johnson is a guy that was woefully undercoached last year. I do believe that there is a scenario where he is, and dare I say it, and people are going to cringe. I think he's Utah Gordon Hayward. I think he's that good to where you can build something around him and he's a star. I do believe, he's a guy that defensively they're going to have to coach up. But at the same point is a willing passer, is a great shooter, was an offensive hub for a team that should have been a lot better than it actually was, but that was largely coaching. I will reiterate. I do think that there's a scenario where he's a star. He's the third star out of this draft. I still love VJ Edgecombe because that's a guy that was playing with grown men this summer for the Bahamas. I do think that there's a scenario that he's also very, very good. The problem is, and the only thing I'm ever cautionary with, and Chicago's going to reveal this, is what's his height and what's his length. If he's 6'3", 6'4", I'm not going to lie, I'm going to be kind of out because he shot well towards the end, but he doesn't consistently shoot well enough. The at the rim field goal percentage kind of scares you, and it scares you even more if he's 6'3", but he's going to have a lot of work with this. There's a lot of guys that do have warts, but at the same point, after 2, there's a teardrop, and then after I want to say 6, there's another teardrop to where you can only trade back so far and get enough to where it makes it actually worth it.
There's going to be a teardrop if we don't get Cooper for me as well. Lots of teardrops. Yeah,
you're setting yourselves up for just utter heartbreak, and I will be here the day after the lottery where I will be the happy again. I will come here. I will be Dr. Nata, and I will counsel you through all of this.
Thank you.
Can I talk? Can I go now?
It's your turn. I would like
you're
for you to
speaking
talk,
for
honestly.
me all of a sudden, so I just want to make sure.
Fair. Sorry.
All right, so here's my thing on VJ Edgecombe, Trey Johnson. I'm a huge Trey Johnson fan. I just think it would be a shock to me if this team takes Trey Johnson at 3 over VJ Edgecombe, because VJ Edgecombe with the athleticism, with the off-ball defense, with just everything that people say about him and everything that you can see on tape. It just seems like the perfect kind of player for Charles Lee and Jeff Peterson, just based on the little evidence that we've seen of the kinds of players they've brought into the organization already. As much as I love Trey Johnson, and maybe he has some of that too. Maybe you're right, Nata. I've already seen it and I've heard it with Edgecombe. So I would just be surprised there. In terms of the debate thing, I think if there's going to be any debate, it's going to be between Edgecombe and Bailey. But I think what makes it tough is that I think for all of the is Scoot going to translate because he didn't play in college, and what's this G League Ignite thing? For all of that mystery, we knew what Scoot was going to play like, and we knew what Brandon was going to play like when he got into the league. With Ace, it just everything that I read, people are like, well, he could be Jaden McDaniels. He could turn himself into a defensive menace, or he could be Michael Porter Jr. and turn himself into more of an offensive threat. So it's really up to him. So we can debate until the cows come home, like, should they take Ace or should they take, but it's like a lot of it's going to come down to, I think, Ace deciding what kind of player he wants to be. And if a team is able to sort of translate that by meeting him and watching his game and saying, you know, we're willing to take the bet that he's going to turn into that kind of player. Because I would assume that the Hornets would want him to turn more into a Jaden McDaniels than a Michael Porter Jr.
The problem is I don't see any Jaden McDaniels in this game. I don't see it. It's much more of a, let me go get my shot. I don't care about anybody else. Like, the biggest question I have, and I'll ask any Hornets fan listening to this, do you trust the current culture at this point to get that kid to play defense, which he really didn't do, and also at the same point be a willing passer / secondary playmaker, which also he has never done at any level? You have to be very, very confident in your culture to turn him into a star. Now, granted, I say all this, and of the potential, he's only behind Cooper Flagg. Only behind Cooper Flagg in terms of potential, in terms of being an utter star. You just have to have the culture, and I'm not sure the Charlotte Hornets currently have that. You have to have the veterans around him to say, hey, knock it off. We have to play a certain way. I don't trust. It's much more of a, I don't trust the current Charlotte Hornet culture more than it's a, I don't like Ace Bailey thing. It's much more of, it's wrong time, right player, wrong time for the Charlotte Hornets right now for him.
I think people feel like you do. I don't think that's going to be a wild take. I think a lot of people do feel the same way that you do. I did want to get to a second round target real quickly before we move on and get to the physicality portion of the show, NFL draft comparisons, and then also the playoffs, which had Porzingis bleeding all over his face and then coming out and shooting free throws. I say Porzingis went out there on purpose with the blood on his face. I think they offered to clean up the blood in the locker room, and he said, no, I'm going to look like a warrior with my madman Joe Mazzulla head coach. Anyways, we can talk about that. yeah. Doug is making a face for the audible audience. Yes, well, Doug is making a fantastic Porzingis face. My last question, Drake Powell out of North Carolina. Kind of 50-50. Some people were really surprised. I wouldn't say I was surprised. I thought he was going back to Carolina, but it was 50-50 in my opinion. Drake Powell officially declares for the NBA draft. The deadline's Saturday. We expect him to remain in the draft. That's all reports. Carolina's actually moving on to the portal. They're going after a couple of other wing / like front court player targets. Drake Powell, probably like late first, early second target right now. What do you feel about Drake in the NBA?
Should be one of the should be a late first target if you want to trade up 33 and 34 to go get him. I do think that he's a willing defender. He's a 3-and-D guy. I do believe that he fits exactly what this Hornets culture is supposed to be. He's going to have that quote unquote Hornets DNA. He's a target for that late first. I like Danny Wolf more, but if you're telling me the Hornets walk away with, I don't know, either VJ Edgecombe and Drake Powell in some form or fashion, that is a home run draft no matter how you look at it.
Yeah. You got Drake Powell thoughts, Doug? What are you thinking?
Just one, that it's going to be hilarious when the Hornets do trade their 2 second-round picks to move up and grab Drake Powell, because a whole lot of people will suddenly learn that Michael Jordan no longer owns or is a majority owner of the Charlotte Hornets, because they're all going to make the same joke and then be corrected. No, actually, it's Gabe Plotkin and Rick Schnall that own the team now, not Michael Jordan.
No, that is going to happen. Absolutely. Especially if they go after a Kentucky guy. You know, MJ did fall in love with the Kentucky guys after a while too. All right, coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Speed's everywhere!
What players on the Hornets roster right now could match a playoff level of physicality? And speaking of physicality, we have a mock draft. We just have a different mock draft for you. That's still to come. Next, LOH. This episode is brought to you by Game Time.
Game time.
There's nothing like the atmosphere of the NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge, every bleeding forehead. It's electric in the arena, and with Game Time, you can be part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, and even when demand is sky high, prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Okay, Doug, talk to us about the idea you had watching Porzingis bleed on the floor and Jimmy Butler leave his game with a pelvic contusion.
Yeah, I mean, that Warriors-Rockets series has been a rock fight. I mean, you even go to the Cleveland-Miami series, full of physical play. Miami, they have no shot at winning that series, but they are making Cleveland sweat. It's just really all across the board. Most of these series are lower scoring, a lot of fouling, a lot of foul not called by the NBA. I mean, wake up, NBA. Like, decide what kind of game you want. I'm tired of the regular season being so different from the playoffs. Anyway, that ran us for another show. My idea is, it made me think, like, which Hornets right now would be ready for that playoff intensity. And by ready, I really mean ready to deal with it and still play whatever level of game they have. They could still play that level of play with that kind of physicality. And I'm not sure there are many players on this roster that could right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go first here. So my immediate thought is Miles and a whole bunch of role players. I think the easy guys right now, LaMelo, I don't think LaMelo backs down. I think he's just kind of taken out and gets frustrated. We heard Charles Lee, but yeah, I think LaMelo's bothered. Mark Williams is clearly bothered. Brandon Miller is one of those weird guys to where he's obviously very skinny. He doesn't shoot at the rim well. We know all the flaws. Brandon wouldn't back down either. We love his mentality for that. He would be bothered though. Like, I think it would take him out for what he wants to do. I think Miles still gets a lot of the stuff done that he wants to do, or that better suits his role, right? Like, I'm assuming this is a playoff enough team to where Miles is playing the appropriate role. And I think in that appropriate role, I think Miles is ready for it. And then you just get to the bruisers. Grant Williams is here for it. Moussa Diabate wants it. He wants to bleed on the floor, same as Josh Okogie. Josh Okogie doesn't need the ball. I'm good. I'll stand here in the corner. I'll shoot some threes, and I want to fight out here on the perimeter and take your cookies and run the other way. So some of the role players like that. What's funny is I think KJ Simpson is ready for it. His game isn't even all that great, but I think KJ Simpson right now is ready also for the physicality, just in terms of he'll get punched in the face and he'll answer back. But some of those role players and Miles is kind of where I'm leaning right now.
Yeah, I based the, Walker, you stole all my answers, quite literally. Yeah, it's good. Those guys. It's like, if Tajon was a little bit better, I think he'd qualify for this answer.
Oh my God, how many turnovers would he have though? Yeah.
He would be bothered in the sense that he would turn the basketball over. He would not be bothered by the physicality though. I think he would relish it, and I think he'll get his game to the point where he can absolutely be one of those players.
Like, outside of that, like, I don't have any, like, and a lot of these guys that we're talking about aren't ready, are basically just not strong enough. It's a strength training program thing.
Yeah.
Where I like LaMelo. He's just not strong enough to do it. Brandon's the same thing. I like him. He's just not strong enough. Same with Mark. Like, all of this is a strength training problem. And once that gets solved, a lot of this goes away.
Your boy Nurk too, Doug. I'd put him in there. With the way he plays, he'd be fine.
Yeah, Nurk loves a good fight. I question Mark's strength in a lot of ways, not just like physical strength. I really question if
we've heard that before. Yeah,
wants that smoke, as the kids say. LaMelo, I'm going to be super interested to watch him early in the preseason, early in the regular season next season, to see if he has made some improvements in the weight room, if he looks for that contact, if he can be bothered in the same way. I think that's going to be a major storyline for LaMelo Ball next season. Miles Bridges is an interesting one to me because I think obviously, like, he's not afraid of contact, but defensively, would he be super physical? I'm not sure. And also, I think if I remember back to those play-in losses, I think mentally he can take himself out of more physical games. And so, yeah, I don't know. That one's a big question mark for me. I'm not sure that he's always looking for it. So
I think, yeah, no, and I hear you on that. I think with me, with Miles, he played a different brand of basketball. I think you saw him get better defensively. I think, he didn't get in trouble this year.
That's true. He did clean up a lot of the mental mistakes that he used to make.
Yeah,
he did clean up a lot of those. We have to give him that.
Right. He was legitimately better defensively. He gets credit for being better defensively, team defensive wise, at not falling asleep at the wheel nearly as much. But I bring this game up all the time for all the everydayers out there. But the Phoenix game where you're going at KD and you're doing it in an appropriate way, you're not losing your cool and wanting to fight him. It's not, bleep this, I'm just going to go tackle him. It's you're using your aggression, you're using your physicality in absolutely the appropriate way, taking it out on the basketball when you dive for it, taking it out on KD and blocking his shot rather than fouling him, like hand to ball contact instead of just deciding to slap him in the face. I don't know, man. I really like what Miles did with that part of his game. The last thing here as we move on to the NFL draft stuff too, the LaMelo stuff, I think with LaMelo, it really is just all a strength thing, man, because I do think he fights through those screens. I think he fights through the contact. I know he settled for a lot of shots. The shot selection, all that's fair to question. But there are also times where when he can turn the corner and get by some physical defense, he's not shying away from contact. I used to think he did a lot, and that's why he didn't get the benefit of the doubt on these foul calls. I felt like that changed a little bit. Felt like he was okay a little bit more so with taking that contact. But reality is, it really is a weight room thing for him. He's just not as strong. And if he's 6'7", man. Like, it has to be the strength, because 6'7" should allow him to hit more shots at the rim.
Well, so part of this is strength. Part of this is desire. And I think, for the most part, to me, LaMelo checks the desire box. He's got to check the strength box. The other question mark, though, for him and a number of these players is the like technique or discipline box, because I think LaMelo Ball would like foul out in the second or third quarter of some of these playoff games.
That's a good point.
That's fair, but I think also a lot of that base comes from strength. If he was stronger, there's a lot of this where mentally he would not check out. It'd be, okay, cool, play on. Ball up top. I think a lot of, like, he gets the strength-based part of this done, and I think you're going to see a lot of things, including his discipline, clean up.
The last thing I'll say is that if you watch these playoff games, the teams that are going to be successful and move further on past the first round are the teams that 1 to 9 or 1 to 10 have players that check at least 2 of those boxes. Most of them check all 3 of those boxes. Yeah. So as the Hornets are making decisions on players, evaluating players, that's what I would look for, because I think Jeff Peterson understands that. I think Charles Lee definitely, I know he understands that because he lived it in Boston and Milwaukee. He understands that you can't have, 3 or 4 guys buy in and everybody else not. You have to have it all the way down the roster. And so just kind of keep your eye on that this offseason.
It's been physical as hell, man. Like that's been the biggest takeaway, more so than usual. Everybody knows it's a more physical brand of basketball in the playoffs, except it feels like we turned the volume up this year, especially in the first.
It's been fun, though.
It has been.
Fun.
I think it's been fun. I think it's been a good mix. I know we can get into that conversation maybe later, but
it's also not sustainable over 82 games, which is why I'm okay with the way they call stuff in the regular season. It's not a sustainable product over 82 regular season games. So I understand why the refs do what they do in the regular season, and they're like, "Hey, this is vacation time right now, baby. We ain't got to call this."
All right, Doug. Physical mock drafts. Can we look at some physical players in this mock draft? What do you got for us?
What's more physical than the National Football League? It is Nothing. NFL Draft Day.
Nothing is.
Get your hand in the dirt. So I've got...
Rub some dirt on it. Sorry, all right, go ahead. We just keep doing that the whole time.
I've got an NFL mock draft in honor of NFL Draft Day. And so, of course, I've got to tell you where the Carolina Panthers are selecting, and more importantly, who they are selecting in the New York Times Athletic mock draft, the last one they're doing with the 8th selection in the NFL draft. The Carolina Panthers take Jalen Walker, the edge linebacker out of Georgia. The Panthers will be hunting defensive playmakers, and the two prospects I hear them connected to the most are Walker and Walter Nolan, a North Carolina native. Walker has the athletic traits and internal wiring that should speak to Carolina general manager Dan
Who wrote
Morgan.
this? Who wrote this mock draft?
This was written by Dane Brugler.
Oh, okay, Dane. It's a big boy name. It's a big boy name. So some real fire to this smoke here. Nata, what do you think about Jalen Walker being the 8th pick?
I've heard him described as Roquan Smith with edge rusher potential. So yeah, I kind of like this.
I mean, if he is that, then just a crazy home run.
So I don't pay attention to college football really at all, and barely to the NFL. I'll just throw my cards on the table right now. But I do know the name Shedeur Sanders. I'm aware of the coverage enough to know that name. And I swear I saw this guy mocked very high, like one of the first QBs taken. I'm scrolling through this mock draft. I don't see this guy's name at all. Has he fallen out of the first round?
Allegedly, yeah. I do
That's
think
insane.
that it's a possibility. It's insane. I think a lot of this has to do with teams not wanting to deal with the circus more than his ability, because I still think he's a first-round level quarterback. I don't think Jackson Dart is better than him. I do not, straight up. And I think a lot of this is just they don't want to deal with the circus. Unfortunately, we're going to see him slide, and I don't think it's all his fault.
Well, so then that brings up another interesting question, which we can turn this back to the NBA now. In the NBA draft, not every year, but we have seen players with first-round talent either slide, we'll say lottery talent, slide out of the lottery. Maybe not all the way out of the first round because there's only 2 rounds, so that rarely happens. But you can slide out of the lottery if you go into meetings and say the wrong thing or show up to combine and not look great. Is there a player in this NBA draft that you look at and say, okay, there's a real danger of that happening?
Jeremiah Fears, as I've talked about before, I think he is again, if he measures wrong, if he measures closer to 6'2" than 6'4", I do think that's a possibility, especially with a usage in the 30s. I also do think that we might see Ace Bailey not necessarily slide out of the lottery, but would it shock me if he went 7, 8, or 9? Not really at this point, because you don't know what you're getting. And the Rutgers tape and some of the tape before that has been so off-putting that you don't necessarily know what you're going to get at the next level.
Okay, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders drop. I don't know who it would be in this year's NBA draft. But yeah, the drops. Well, I like the Ace Bailey answer, but I don't know about like 8 or 9, but just it's always been Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey as the debate. And now you're already starting to hear, well, what about VJ? Konkanippel is number 5 too. So I do feel like that'd be somewhat of a surprise.
One more guy I got actually. Kaman Malawak. I do think that last game against Houston is going to put a lot of sour taste in the mouth of scouts.
Yeah. It was bad.
Like he may end up being drafted at 16, 17. You might see Derek Queen get drafted over him. You might see Asa Newell. You're going to hear a lot of his name going forward because he is 6'11" and he can move his feet laterally. You're going to see a lot of that. I wouldn't be surprised if Malawak is outside of the first round. Not outside of the first round, but outside of the lottery as well.
I think if the nightmare scenario happens for the Charlotte Hornets and they fall to 6 or 7, I think this fan base is going to talk themselves into trading back because I think they want the Hornets to bring some more veteran talent into the roster and or assets. I think there are 2 camps that would like Jeff Peterson to go Presti 2.0 and just build until they can go out and find that, KD trade or Giannis level trade a few years from now, whoever's available at that time. So my question then would flip it to the NFL. How are the Panthers? What's the Panthers fan base mindset with this 8th pick? Are they going to be okay with trading out of that 8th pick?
Yeah, they would be. It's so just all right. We'll end on this one, but this draft is considered to not have that big of a difference from like the 7th or 8th prospect all the way to the 35th prospect. So a ton of people, including myself, are very thumbs up on trading back. Me and Nata, we're on the same team.
Yes.
We're team Mason Graham at 8 or trade back. And the problem is it's hard to find a trade back partner because of the same logic. There's not many teams looking to trade up. if there's not much difference between the 7th or 8th prospect and the 35th prospect. Denver is a team that might be looking to trade up, and if they do, they'd probably be looking for one of these tight ends or Ashton Genty, but they're going to have to trade all the way up to 5. So now Carolina is not necessarily in that sweet spot. There's a report that they might be willing to take less value to trade back. So all of that is on the table. I think it's going to be a wild first round tonight. I know so many smoke screens, so much uncertainty, not much difference between all of these players. I think that is a perfect storm for chaos, and I'm excited to see how it's all going to unfold. Not even all that many trades, just chaos in terms of, wait, I never saw him linked to this team via mock drafts, and we're going to see what happens tonight, but I think it'll be fun.
My prediction is we'll see the same thing in June. My prediction is we are going to see something similar in June after 3.
I can see it, man. Yeah,
there's a lot of different beauty in the eye of the beholder after Harper, kind of after VJ, Trey, Ace. Like, there's a lot of really good NBA talent that you may.
Danny Wolf, watch out for Danny Wolf.
There you go.
Danny Wolf is my sneaky lottery pick. He might end up because someone's going to fall in love with a 7-footer that hits threes. He's going to end up being
Wolf's at the door.
Exactly.
All right. Danny Teen Wolf is the number 1 pick. You have to take him number 1. That's Nata Edwards of Ion College Basketball. Go follow him on Twitter at Nata the Scribe. Go listen to the Ion College Basketball podcast with Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander. Also listen to Locked On NBA. Doug Branson hosts it with Matt Moore and Hayes. Also read everyhornetsboxscore.com. And when you're done reading and listening to all that, make sure you catch Wes and Walker live every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. on Sports Radio 92.7 WFNZ. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.